A web novel author dies a pathetic death while reading hate comments on his latest web novel. He meets agent of Hell's Soul Management Department, Grim Reaper Kim, standing in front of his lying body. The agent tells him the reason of death was cardiac arrest due to a sudden heart attack from a surge in blood pressure. Being already in shock, he was forced to make a strange decision, as when someone dies, in order to go to heaven, they need to atone for the major sins they've committed. The sins our novelist committed were quitting multiple serializations and writing stories with terrible continuity. In short, he was irresponsible and frequently dropped his series. So, as an irresponsible novelist, he had to atone by reincarnating into his one of the completed novels and survive until the end. But, in all the novels he had very bad endings, that is, the main character always died in the ending. At last, he chose The Demon King is Dead, a relatively refreshing novel he wrote after writing many depressing novels. The Demon King is Dead is set in a fantasy background. He chose it since it was a sweet slice-of-life academy story set after a war. It's a novel where the final boss dies at the start of the story. After choosing the novel, he is reincarnated as a lowest-grade demon king of the race Archdemon, having 2 horns on his head. He finds himself in an extravagant place. And suddenly opened his status menu. His name is Valier Jr. After knowing that he is a demon king, he feels depressed as the title of the novel was The Demon King is Dead. I feel sad for novelists. Anyway, let's go into the story. He found himself in the midst of the demon realm being blown to pieces. He hears a sound and sees an explosion, which sends him back flying. A pop-up window appeared stating prologue event, ruination triggered. He is given the task to survive and to escape the Demon King's castle, and the reward for this task will be 100 achievement points. He sees a corpse of a demon in front of him, which terrorized him more. Furthermore, he immediately backed from the place and ran in the hallway cursing Grim Reaper, calling her a scammer. He exactly knew the reason why castle was blowing up, that is, the Demon King and the hero were in the middle of their final battle, and also knew what the outcome will be as he was the writer of it. The outcome was that the Demon King and hero both meet their end in this final battle and the war ends with humans' victory. The MC thought in his mind as he was the Demon Prince, the moment he got caught, he would certainly die. He again looked towards his stats and knew that his stats can't be considered as great. He didn't have any special abilities to survive or escape. The only good thing he has is that he can read the letters of this world. Thinking of finding something good, he went into Demon Castle's warehouse, only to find a piece of junk and trash. That's why the demon army was losing to the Imperial army. Out of nowhere, he suddenly found a magic scroll book which had a teleportation scroll. But to no avail, he couldn't use it due to the magic barrier. He lost his hope to survive, and the page of the book flipped and turned to a camouflage scroll page. A status screen appeared stating camouflage, the user can change their appearance and disguise themselves as something else. He disguised himself as a human prisoner and planned to get mixed with humans in prison, then get saved by the Imperial army along with other prisoners and, finally, find an opportunity to run away. Mission success, being saved by the human army, is the best way for him to survive this situation. He immediately went to the human prison. Why is it so quiet? He smelled something like fish. No, it smelled like blood. He stepped on something and shouted to find it was a human flesh, a human hand. He found many bodies lying in front of him. Are they all dead? He never wrote something like this in his novel. It was supposed to be a rom-com novel. He couldn't also leave the room, as he had no other choice. Suddenly, there was a girl covered in blood in front of him sitting next to a body, the only survivor in that room. He went straight to her and asked how she was. Valier told him that he was also a prisoner there. Valier sat beside her to wait for the Imperial force to rescue them. Valier told the girl that he was also afraid that, after all, it was a Demon King's castle. Valier offered the wafers to the girl he had in the pocket of the clothes he was wearing originally and kept it. Suddenly they heard a voice, "I found the prison cells." The Imperial army had reached the prison cell. One of the men from the Imperial army said, "Please punish me for not saving you sooner," and called the girl, "Your Imperial Highness." This shocked Valier. Later we got to know the name of the girl, Charlotte de Guardias, Guardias Empire's first Imperial princess. Suddenly a window popped up. Prologue event, Ruination clear. You have acquired 100 achievement points. This marks the end of the second chapter of the manhwa.
Valier was saved alongside the princess by Imperial forces. They were taken to the Imperial Army Field military camp situated at a closer distance to Demon King's castle. Valier and the princess were served lunch in the camp. The princess was taking too much care of Valier. Giving too much attention to him would result in difficulty in running away. The princess was a character which did not appear in the novel as she was killed in the Demon King's castle. Lance was taking care of Princess and of Valier too as he was savior of the princess. Princess was to be taken back to the Imperial Palace as soon as Duke Solarian would arrive. Princess thanked Valier for taking care of her in the prison. But Valier didn't do anything particularly and wondered the same. Even then, he was a great help to the princess. In return, Princess would make sure to get him returned to his hometown and asked for his hometown. Valier, being Demon King, did not have a hometown and told the princess that he couldn't remember anything about it. And due to this, the lad stared at him as if he was going to kill him just for answering slowly. Princess felt sorry for him and believed him for his words, thinking that he must have gone through a lot. Valier thinks of her being naive. Princess promised him to help him recover his memories. Valier thanked her and thought that her intentions were good, but it can't be impossible to be kept as the princess was going to die. There was no character of her in the novel, so he deduced that she would be killed, as knowing Prince Beatrice, her brother would never let competition live if it stood in the ease of his succession to the throne. This innocent girl does not even know of her own fate. Even Valier could not do anything as he was powerless. And also deduced that being her acquaintance, his own life was also in danger. He wanted to tell her about her life being in danger, and if he could get her on his side, it will be of some help. The princess told Lance of having little indigestion from eating too much and told Lance to get a doctor to treat her. After Lance went out, face of the princess changed. The princess became a different person from what she was earlier. She immediately asked Valier for an apology as his life would be in danger. She already knew about the scheming. This shocked Valier as he didn't know about this. According to the princess, there was a high possibility that she would be assassinated in the near future if things continue as they were. She deduced the culprit being her step-sibling, Bertus de Gradia. Most of the people in the camp were probably enemies. And the fact they were keeping her there without letting her go outside proves the same. She was even covered with a thick coat when she was being rescued. People outside were probably waiting on orders about how to get rid of them. They might poison her and tell everyone that they found her dead in the Demon King's castle. And if she died like that, they wouldn't let Valier let go either. He would be quietly killed to get rid of all the evidence. Valier asked the princess to ask for help from some knights. She answered him that it would be of no use and they can't trust anyone here. She told him they are going to be out of here. She made a plan that will make a divergence for Valier to run and get Sir Francis. Sir Francis only could save them as he was the same knight who rescued them from Demon King's castle. He is one of the rare people in the neutral faction who is only loyal to the imperial family itself and won't harm her. He could be trusted by them to get out of this camp. Valier questioned her if Sir Francis could really be trusted. But, if that was the case, then they would have already died in the Demon King's castle. Sir Francis was an excellent knight who was unwaveringly loyal to the imperial family and would not harm anyone from the imperial family. Valier understood and agreed on the plan, thinking of this as an only chance which would help them to survive. The princess acted as bait to allow Valier to run from there. She wished to see the barracks to the knights standing outside of their tent. But they could not do it. In the meantime, Valier ran from the back of the tent only to find a red-haired knight on his way. The knight stopped him and questioned what he was doing there. Valier replied that he was looking for Sir Francis. The knight told him that he had already left for Demon King's castle. Valier was shocked on hearing this and questioned the knight if this was true. Their plan was now screwed. According to the knight, Sir Lance, a member of the military headquarters, requested to take care of the remnants in the Demon King's castle. Lance had already predicted her plans and made a move. Knight questioned him about the business he had with Sir Francis. Valier had no choice but to tell the knight the truth about what was going on. The knight agreed on saving them as Valier was stupidly desperate and the knight was a junior to Sir Francis himself. He thought of going immediately to rescue him as Sir Francis' life was in danger. The knight has the gut feeling that Sir Francis already predicted that this would happen and entrusted him to stand by. And also warned him that someone might come. Valier was shocked as he had not known that Sir Francis already predicted this. Lance was hearing all this behind a wall but did not take any action. The knight asked Valier if had ridden a horse earlier. If not, then knight's steed was excellent and would be able to hold two without a problem. They got on horse and moved toward the demon castle. And we got to know the name of the knight was Dyrus. Valier on their way saw leftover demons, they were getting locked in a cage. And wondered why there were demons there. He asked Dyrus why there were demons on the roadside. Dyrus further answered that they were demon prisoners. Had he forgotten that there was just a battle here? If they were captured here, then they're either defeated soldiers or non-combatants. They were still investigating and looking into areas near the Demon King's castle. Once they arrive back at headquarters, they'll all be executed. This worried Valier as he was himself a demon, furthermore a demon king. They reached the Demon Castle investigation camp. Two knights stopped them and asked for their identities. Dyrus salutes and introduces himself as Lieutenant Dyrus, platoon leader of the 11th Squadron's 3rd Platoon in the 1st Corps 4th Cavalry Regiment. The knights further asked him what brought them there. Lieutenant Dyrus told them that this boy here had something important to tell Sir Francis, so he had brought him there. The knight feared and asked them if they had said Sir Francis. He further told them that they just received a report that Sir Francis had died in battle with demon remnants. Thank you for watching. Please wait for the third part of this manhwa. The name of manhwa will be pinned in the comments section. Please drop like, share and subscribe.